Hello everybody and welcome back to Screen Stars. I'm here today to bring you my review for the 2018 documentary film The Bray Road Beast, a film that is co-written and directed by Seth Breedlove. And as explained, this is a documentary, and even though it is from 2018, it's getting its release now. I believe it was Kickstarter funded as well. And this documentary focuses on a place in Wisconsin, a community in America called Elkhorn, and it focuses on a series of reports, mainly from the 1990s, of the supposed Bray Road Beast. Sightings of what were perceived to be a werewolf around the area in this particular place, numerous eyewitnesses, and this documentary focuses on a lot of those stories, the eyewitness accounts, and interviews a number of people associated with this strange case, if you like, the Bray Road Beast. Including authors, members of the community, and it shows clippings of people being interviewed about their eyewitness accounts. And I think what makes this documentary stand out from others is it dramatises many people's eyewitness accounts. So it'll dramatise it, so it'll show like clips of what they saw, like the werewolf and things like that, which adds, I think, to this documentary and makes it feel more real and a little bit scarier. Now, what are my thoughts on the Bray Road Beast? Now, I'm a fan of a documentary. It has to be a subject that I'm interested in usually, and the horror documentaries, when they're done right, can be really frightening because they feel real. You know, these are like eyewitness accounts from people that say they've seen these things. And it might not be true at all, but it feels real. So I used to love stuff like that when I was a kid, like Legend of Boggy Creek and all this kind of stuff. I used to watch all this stuff when I was a kid. They used to terrify me. And I think the Bray Road Beast documentary is actually quite an effective one. I really loved the dramatisation of the eyewitness accounts. It really added to it, and you know, a lot of people witnessed in their reports that this werewolf creature had red eyes, so they would show that in the dramatisations. It looked really freaky and really scary, and it felt real, and watching it I was getting, you know, right into it, and quite scared at times about all this stuff, all these eyewitness reports that went on through the 90s. Another interesting aspect of this documentary, it goes into the lore of werewolves, all through the history of the lore of werewolves. So the documentary itself is I think it's about an hour and 10 minutes long, something like that. It's not a long documentary really. It just felt enough, and so you get the bit at the beginning, they start talking about these sightings, these Bray Road Beast sightings, and then you get these experts talking about werewolves and the lore and the history, and then it goes back to more of these sightings in Elkhorn. And it was really well made. I think this documentary, it felt there was a couple of people they were interviewing that, I don't know, you couldn't believe it. You couldn't believe some of the things they were saying. But even though they said it quite sincerely, it was hard to take in. Not necessarily just the werewolf accounts and the things that people had told them or they'd heard, but they started talking about this supernatural stuff and cults, and you're just thinking, what? You know, you're going to put people off even ever visiting that place. I think some of the stories were really effective. There was one story in particular that I thought was really frightening, was the fact that, imagine you're on this road at night and they start talking, and you spot this, what you perceive to be some kind of werewolf, and you put your foot down and drive off. Well, this one particular story from this lady was, she did just that, and this werewolf kept pace with her for over a mile, I think, or something like that, and she was going 55 miles an hour and it was keeping pace with it. Imagine that, you're in your car trying to get away from this thing and it's keeping up with you. You'd absolutely cack your britches. And I just thought these eyewitness accounts were really effective and added to the mystery and the horror aspect of this documentary. And it gets a bit freaky by the end as well. It kind of swerves away from this werewolf aspect, and maybe it almost felt like UFO type stuff or supernatural type elements. because there's this farmer talking at the end, and this is from the 2000s and beyond. He bought this farm in Elkhorn, or on the outskirts, and all this weird stuff started happening, so he started filming it, and all this weird smoke started turning up, and these cattle and stuff started going, all starts getting a bit weird, and by the end it kind of muddies the water a little bit, and you kind of think, well, is this a werewolf documentary or is it something else? But I suppose they've just got to report what people are saying in this documentary. But I have to say, if you like horror documentaries, I do recommend this one. I do think it was really well put together. At times quite frightening, because it felt really real, some of these stories, and the dramatisation of some of these eyewitness accounts really added to it. So I'm going to give this a 7 out of 10. I do think it's worth checking out. Yeah, I say it's not overly long, so it's not going to take up too much of your time. And I think the film deserves a little bit of your support. So go out there, check it out, especially if you're a fan of werewolves and the law. So that's my review for the Bray Road Beast documentary. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, and of course I'll see you next time for more reviews on Screen Stars.